You know that innocent-looking bag of white flour sitting in your pantry right now? Yeah, it's not just for weekend baking. It's actually a high-performance fuel literally just waiting to trigger a massive pressure bomb. Let's get right into it. But before we dive into the physics of exploding pastries, let's do a rapid rewind. Think about your family tree. There's you, the modern snack eater, there's your dad, his dad, and if we keep flying backwards down this chain, past the powdered wigs, past the chainmail, past the mammoths, you eventually stumble upon a distant ancestor. Just some guy squatting in the dirt, chewing on a beetle, trying his absolute hardest not to die before sundown. He has no name, no shoes, and absolutely no idea that you, with your mild caffeine dependency, even exist. It's a pretty stark reminder, honestly. You are merely the byproduct of violent coincidence and extremely stubborn biology. I mean, if just one of the thousands of people in your ancestral chain had tripped at the wrong moment or gotten eaten by something toothy, well, hell no, you simply wouldn't be here. So the crucial point here is that you exist entirely because 1,000 people before you didn't die when they probably should have. And, while we sit around complaining today about accidentally burning a batch of chocolate chip cookies, your ancestors literally blew up their houses just trying to bake a simple loaf of bread. Section 1. The deadly pantry secret. Humanity's favorite baking ingredient acting like a military-grade explosive. Section 2. The agricultural mistake. From chasing mammoths to settling down. To understand why this happens, we really have to go all the way back to the dawn of agriculture. Somewhere around 10,000 years ago, humans collectively decided, you know what? We are completely exhausted from running after massive beasts across frozen tundras. So they swapped that nomadic hunting lifestyle for permanent villages, planted stationary crops like wheat and barley, and, well, accidentally made life much, much harder. Because, as it turns out, this new diet had some massive downsides. Settling down didn't just leave our ancestors with severe vitamin deficiencies and teeth that basically rotted right out of their faces. It also forced them to figure out how to process all that wheat efficiently. So, they built massive mills to grind the grain into fine white flour. And by doing exactly that, they unknowingly created the absolute perfect environment for a high-yield pressure bomb. Section 3. Physics of a flour bomb. The terrifying science of airborne carbohydrates. Okay, let's break down the chemistry here. Flour is essentially pure carbohydrates, right? Which means it's a highly flammable fuel. When it gets aggressively tossed around and suspended in the air as dust, its surface area massively multiplies. Think about starting a campfire. You don't just hold a tiny match to a giant solid log. No way. You use tiny pieces of kindling to catch the flame first. Airborne flour acts exactly like that. It is millions of microscopic pieces of carbohydrate kindling floating invisibly in the air around you. When it's just sitting on your counter in a solid bag, flour is completely harmless. The fuel is totally isolated from oxygen. But suspend that dust in the air, suddenly every single microscopic speck is a highly flammable fuel, perfectly surrounded by oxygen molecules, literally just waiting for a spark. Now take that highly volatile microscopic environment and place it in a pre-modern kitchen or an old stone mill. Today, obviously, we have electric lights and modern ventilation, but back then, they operated in completely enclosed, incredibly dusty rooms. And to see what they were doing, they used open flame candles and lanterns. Throw in the constant friction of those incredibly heavy stone millstones grinding against each other, which, by the way, could easily strike a rogue spark, and you have a literal recipe for disaster. Picture the terrifying sequence of events in one of these ancient mills. Step 1, a friction spark flies off the grinding stones. Step 2, that spark ignites just one microscopic particle of flour dust. Step 3, because these particles are so densely packed in the air, that single particle instantly ignites the one next to it, and the one next to that, creating an instantaneous chain reaction in a fraction of a second. The heat expands the air instantly, and because the room is enclosed, that expanding air has nowhere to go. Which brings us to step 4, a catastrophic supersonic pressure wave that pops the heavy stone roof straight up into the air and levels the entire structure in the blink of an eye. Section 4, surviving the baking ages, from historical horrors to hazardous breakfasts. I mean, let's just look at the sheer absurdity here. Imagine surviving the worst events in human history only to get taken out by your own breakfast. Think about surviving a deadly lottery like the 1347 Black Death, where just catching the bubonic plague from a shared cup was a daily threat. Imagine managing to live through the Mongol invasions, where horse archers could literally wipe your entire city off the map before you even had time to sound an alarm. You survive all of that,
You decide to celebrate by baking some bread, someone drops a lantern in a dusty room, and suddenly, boom, you are launched into the stratosphere by your own baking ingredients. Because, let's face it, vibe-checking the plague was quite literally peak medieval science. Doctors walked around wearing these creepy bird masks filled with flowers, hoping the good smells would ward off disease. It's so wild to contrast that intentional, sweeping historical horror and the total misunderstanding of science with this sudden, highly localized domestic accident of a neighborhood mill just exploding. Or consider the ancient Greek engineers who built the Brazen Bull. That was a hollow bronze statue specifically designed to cook victims alive. But hey, at least those engineers actually knew they were building a literal metal oven death trap. Their destruction was malicious and entirely intentional. The tragic irony of it all is that these early bakers and millers weren't building weapons of war or torturous traps. They were, quite simply, just trying to make a morning meal. Humans are incredibly creative, just not always in the ways you'd want them to be. Which brings us to our final takeaway. You survived the brutal gauntlet of natural selection, so do you respect your baking ingredients? Seriously, the next time you make a mess in the kitchen and get a little flour all over your counter, just be deeply thankful that your house isn't detonating. Remember, you are a biological miracle that your ancestors fought mammoths for. So it kind of makes you wonder, what other deadly secrets do you think are hiding in plain sight in your pantry right now? Keep asking questions, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.